All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel, Strickland Twitter, and if you're listening to this the day after, Strickland Podcast Network. I am Sam. I'm joined by Schwinn. The Knicks win their ninth straight game, 119 to 103 versus the Utah Jazz. Before we get into all that, of course, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA and college basketball, NHL, and UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so the Knicks win their ninth straight game. I think it's the second longest winning streak active in the NBA right now. Of course, behind the Oklahoma City Thunder, who will be facing on Friday, and we'll get into that as well. But yeah, I mean, the Knicks went to this game a little bit shorthanded, but it obviously didn't matter because the Jazz are the Jazz, no matter how competitive they made this game. The Knicks are just more offensively talented and defensively talented and just were able to overcome all of that. Led by a 30-20 game from Karl-Anthony Towns and a second consecutive triple-double from Josh Hart, who I'm sure made plenty of bettors happy today, with 15, 14, and 12. Yeah, I think let's start with Josh Hart there. Zach posted on Twitter the graphic that he made earlier this season of, Josh Hart's quote saying that he was lost during that last game of preseason. And to see where he is now, having a career year, basically, is just remarkable. And like he said himself, it takes time for, a team to really find themselves and really, become what they are right now. And I still feel like there's ways to go for this team. But, credit to Josh Hart continuing to just be an amazing player this year and just having a great year. All over the court, just doing whatever needed to be done. You need him to be a center, he can be a center. You need him to be a point guard today. Jalen Brunson isn't here, and he's able to just take on the playmaking duties. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say this before we talk about the Knicks. We have one more game next Monday against the Orlando Magic. All I hope for, I do not care if the Knicks win that game,
is if they stay healthy.
Just stay healthy going into that game. That shit, that
with Cole Anthony, yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not playing hard. That's just bullshit. They're the most bullshit fucking team. They don't play basketball. They just play fucking rugby. I can't stand them. Fuck them. I don't give a fuck about them. And I hope that they have a terrible rest of the year. And I hope that they don't make the playoffs. And I hope that city sinks underwater. Fuck them. All right, moving on from Orlando. Yeah, the Knicks were awesome tonight. Karl-Anthony Towns, I actually thought he started the game off. The Knicks in general just got up to a really slow start. They were down 18-8.
As per usual with this team.
They were super kind of not with it. And that makes sense. First you go into the game thinking Deuce is going to start, then he pulls up with a tight hamstring or something in the warm-up, so then you make a last-minute change to Payne, and he hasn't even been playing much lately. So it's not...
He was in the doghouse, basically.
Yeah, so it's not surprising that they got up to a little bit of a slow start. I thought Cat in particular was not great, but I do think you could tell very early that he wanted to show out in this matchup. And yeah, I don't really know when he, in the second quarter he kind of started to get it going. That second half for him was ridiculous. He just completely dominated that game. He seemed to get every rebound for a 5-minute stretch. Just awesome. And the scoring is obviously always going to be there with him, but you could just see how they were running the offense through him, and he was hitting cutters, and there was just so much space open. I thought he was great. I think he only ended up with 4 assists or something, but the numbers don't really do it justice. He was incredible today as a playmaker, I thought. And really, on a night where you don't have Jalen Brunson, you have to find a way to get the offense going in the half court, and Cat was their best avenue to do that. So really tremendous for him. Josh Hart, what did he play today? 45 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, he look, I get frustrated with him at times because even in this game, right? He has this crazy triple-double, and he's obviously fantastic. But he just has these stupid plays where you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like the one in the fourth quarter where he was just dribbling it in front of the guy and just got ripped. And I was like, what did you think was going to happen there? What was happening here? But you have to give him a little bit of leeway because he's playing these big minutes. And I think I think Tibbs understands, like, there are just things that Josh, when you're playing those many minutes, he's going to cheat a little bit to get a little, not expend as much energy because he knows he's going to play the full game or whatever. But yeah, he was tremendous. His playmaking, I thought in transition was great. Even in the half court, you saw him today. That dunk he had in the fourth quarter was awesome. His defense in the fourth quarter, in the second half in general, picked up a lot. In the first half, he was kind of doing some chilling. But he was great. And then, yeah, Mikal, OG. I mean, I don't even know what to really say about these guys specifically at this point because they all just played so well today, I thought. OG and Mikal kind of kept the Knicks in the game early, I thought, with how many turnovers they created in that first quarter. I know Campaign and Hart obviously contributed to that too, but those two really, really stood out. OG today on Markkanen, that's why you pay that guy that money because he just turned his water off. He had Markkanen in fucking hell tonight.
Yeah.
That was
that first half was brutal for Markkanen.
Yeah,
couldn't get shit off.
He couldn't get shit off. He didn't want to get shit off when Mikal was, when OG was on him. And I thought Mikal Bridges, I thought he did a really good job today on both ends. And offensively, as the team was kind of figuring shit out early in the game, he was the reason they were staying, in touching distance and staying in that within range. He got off to a really good start.
Yeah,
and it's
16 in the first half.
And I think what we're seeing now with him, and this is probably the best thing about him as a player, is he's your third option, second option tonight, however you want to phrase it. But he gets so many points just within the flow and finding space and making himself available. And early in the season, we were all really frustrated with he's taking too many mid-range. He's relying on the mid-range. He gets so much space in there, and he's so good at stopping on a dime and immediately elevating for jumpers, and he's automatic with that. I mean, I just thought, what did he finish tonight with? 25 points or something? And it didn't even feel like it was so easy. He just got it all within the flow, in transition, moving off the ball in the half court. He was great. And, look, everybody that played tonight, they contributed. Precious, I thought, did a really good job. It was interesting. Tibbs was definitely matching up Cat's minutes with Kessler's minutes early in the game. So that's why Precious had these really weird rotations going on. So I thought Precious contributed really well. Payne had some weird plays, and
he had some plays that made you realize why Thibs was playing him the way he was the first couple of games before this.
That fucking tip in the first quarter, I was just what the fuck what's going on here? It's like that, the meme of the guy's brain and the monkey clapping the cymbals.
Yes.
I thought that's all I get. I was what's happening here? But he's frustrating, and you see why he's not a guy that you necessarily want to play big minutes or maybe even consistently. But he just competes, and he has a high activity level. And defensively, he's going to be a liability at times, but he's just competitive, and that is enough sometimes. So I thought he contributed all. He had 9 assists, so he definitely did create for others and kind of was able to do the point guard stuff. And then Tyler Kolek, I mean, look, the guy played 39 minutes tonight in the G League game, and then he comes out tonight. Honestly, I thought he could have played more. I mean, maybe I'm sure that there was some minute stuff going on with him there, but when they took him out in the fourth quarter, I was kind of why? He's actually fucking.
I would have played him the rest of the game, honestly. At that point,
I thought he was frying them in pick and rolls, man. We were getting great offense basically every time he ran a pick and roll, to the point where there was a possession where OG just ISO'd at the top of the key for some reason. And I'm dude, just give the ball to Kolek and have Cat set him a screen. We're going to score. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. But yeah, everybody played well. And it was a good, I mean, this was we haven't had one of these kind of
easy wins.
Yeah. And just it was a shorthanded win, right? It was that, but it was good. It was a good game. Utah made a lot of, I thought, threes that you kind of have to live with in the second half.
And Jordan Clarkson was just getting whatever he wanted in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen, but the Knicks were consistent, and after the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game, they were just steady. and this was not, some crazy outlier hot 3-point shooting night. They just dominated the game. Like, they just executed so well. That's it. That's all I can say about this. Like, this was so
I mean,
obviously.
they did well in transition, and then they did well in the paint, and like they've been in a slump from three actually, which is actually one of their strong suits as a team.
Not
So
Mikal though. Mikal has been on fire from three.
Yeah, he's been on fire from three, but most of everybody else has been in
Yeah.
like a mini slump per se. Like OG and like, other guys like Campaign and whatnot. But
shout out Josh Hart, took 2 pull-up threes in transition today.
Without Jalen on the floor, he was like, let me show y'all what I can really do.
But yeah, I mean, I just thought this game was like, the way they executed, you could just see this was a case of one team is legitimately good, and that's why they won the game. Like, they were just better. They executed better. They knew what they were trying to do. I thought Cat defensively, I thought he did a really good job tonight. I was pretty impressed with him in the pick and roll.
Didn't pick up any like really stupid fouls or anything like that either.
No, and yeah, I was like, this was such a nice solid win as they head into like a much more difficult portion of their schedule, at least on paper. We'll see how some of this stuff goes. Washington, are they like good now, or like not like good, but like decent now? Because they won today by 18 against the Bulls, which was not what I expected.
Without Bilal too, who's actually like one of their like better, I guess, defensive players at least.
Yeah. Oh, and also Emmanuel Quickley returned to the court today, had a good game. So
21 and 15. Yeah. Shout out to Emmanuel Quickley.
What a night for the Quickland, right?
Yep, still going strong. Jordan Poole's just like good at basketball again. That's what makes the Wizards good now. Like, he's just good at basketball.
They just had to like separate him and Kuzma, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants Kuzma, he had 5 and 5 today in 20 minutes. But Poole had 30 points on 6 of 13 from 3 and 3 steals. So
jeez. Yeah, he balled out tonight.
Yeah, he's been averaging like 28 points per game over the last like 5 games he's played. So there's the reason why the Wizards are somewhat competent now, at least on the court. But yeah, I thought the Knicks also played a pretty not flawless game, but really good game, and they won against an inferior team that they're supposed to. Now we got to look forward to the battle of the win streaks on Friday versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Who do you think? You think they're probably going to start with Mikal on SGA, right? Most likely, just to match up the quickness and the length.
I would think so.
And have probably OG on J-Dub.
Yeah, I would think so, because J-Dub fried us last year. Dude, he made like I don't think he missed a mid-range shot against us in both games last year. It was fucking annoying.
It didn't help that the first game was like RJ Barrett like struggling to guard him. So
that was the RJ Barrett farewell game.
That was the game that let everybody know. All right, that let the front office know. Okay, we got to get this guy out of here.
That was a fucking crazy game, because I still remember like he put RJ back in, took out quickly, and I was like, "There's no way."
There was like a collective like groan on Twitter from everybody that was just like, "What the hell is going on here?"
But yeah, I think that's probably how you match up. It'll be interesting to see. Chet's not going to be back for that, right? I don't think.
No.
Yeah, so we'll get the cat and fart and shit matchup that we've all been waiting for. But honestly, I will say this: I don't think the Knicks are going to win that game. But I think it'll be a very valuable experience for them, because Oklahoma City.
It's a good like measuring stick game,
and I just think I think they're going to see some coverages and stuff like that most teams either don't do or can't execute because they don't have the personnel. And I think they'll take a lot from that, but I do think it's going to be a slog for them offensively. And look, Oklahoma City, they're the best defense in the league right now. I mean,
the only team I've really seen get the best of them is what you call it, the Bucks in the cup game.
Yeah. And the Knicks can, if they win the game, it would probably be because they're able to control the glass. That's really where you can hurt Oklahoma City, even with Hartenstein. I think that's an area where they're still relatively weak.
And they got to break out of the slump from 3 too, because that's where the Bucks were able to really get them from 3 in that game.
Or we just give every 3 to Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, just keep feeding Mikal. Just keep feeding him, running plays for him, running him off screens and stuff like that.
Mikal and Cat, the only guys that we can allow to shoot threes. But yeah, no, it was like it should be a good game, and I think it'll be a good kind of like you said, measuring stick for the Knicks.
This is their first like actual like legit contender they're facing since the Boston game in game 1.
I mean, like the Cleveland game, that's about it, right? Like those are the two.
Yeah, but that was like really early in the season. We were like, is Cleveland really like on that level yet?
And yeah, now we've discovered that Cleveland will never lose basketball games again. So that's tough for the Knicks. Hopefully they can overcome that.
But yeah, I mean, and even in that game, the Knicks actually played the Cavs like pretty well. It was like some stupid shit that just didn't go their way in certain instances that that we figured out since then, obviously. But yeah, like I said, I think, like you said too, I think this game will be a good learning experience, good measuring stick game for the Knicks. And yeah, we'll see what happens with that game. Let's get to some comments. We got some comments here. Shout out to everyone that's been in here. Did you pull this comment?
I did pull this comment up.
Oh, from Michael Kasdan. He says Mikal is truly
friend of the pod. Came on the pod, talked about the lawsuit. Ongoing situation.
Yeah, I remember the latest update they said is like the NBA just like the league's office just didn't want to like push things forward or anything like that. It's so bizarre. But hey, they gave us OG, so that should smooth things over just a little bit.
Win-win trade, where we win every game and they don't, and they lose. But yeah, no, he's. Look, this is again. I've been saying this now for like fucking 5 straight pods and post game shows. But like, this is the guy they traded for. This is literally the guy they traded for. And I don't know if you read the piece that James Edwards wrote in the Athletic today, or that dropped today about Mikal and Josh Hart and like their kind of like relationship and everything. But like it is actually early in the season, I was kind of like, these two don't seem like they're on the same page at all. And now I'm like, are they brothers? Like, I feel like Josh is always looking for him now in transition, and Mikal just knows exactly what kind of like where to be to make himself available for him. But yeah, Mikal has been, I mean, he's been great, and his defense has picked up a ton over the last month or so.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to have really like put it together, and like Josh said in the post game, these things take time to really gel and be cohesive. And as Mike and Alan said, in New York sports, there is no patience. There's no such thing as patience, as you can see from the fans of various teams in this area, in the way that they talk about their teams, including the Knicks. But yeah, Mikal's just. He looks more and more like the player that we all envisioned he would be, which is the combination of the good parts of his Phoenix tenure as well as the good parts of his Brooklyn tenure, which is very small and
unimportant.
As Brooklyn,
isn't it hilarious that the Nets traded those Suns picks, and those Suns picks now look like they're going to be the greatest picks of all time?
Houston knew exactly what was going on, man. Raphael Stone, he's just like he's waiting. He's just been waiting for KD teams to just fail so he can cash in.
You sent that tweet, right? That guy. So that
yeah. Stone's just been waiting, and he's just waiting in the rafters, waiting for KD's teams to fail so he can cash in.
Yeah.
Right now, he's looking like a Nostradamus genius right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with that Phoenix team. I mean, they're going to have to hit that blow it up button real soon because it is looking ugly.
I don't know. I was watching the end of their game yesterday, and it was like, I could see a little of like KD kind of just like, fuck this. This is whack. I'm waiting for that Woj. I guess not. We only get Shams bombs now. So
yeah, Shams has the monopoly on the business right now.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I think we're gonna get that KD trade thing soon. I mean, it's all lining up with the Jimmy Butler stuff. It's lining up with. There's a lot of teams in chaos. There's a lot of players that seem like they're like not happy where they are. It's gonna be a very interesting trade deadline. It's gonna be interesting to see what teams try to cash in on this because you got Fox, you got Jimmy Butler who are disgruntled. You got KD who could end up being disgruntled. No one knows what Devin Booker's mind's set at, and you got all these teams: Phoenix, Denver, the Kings. The Bulls with Zach LaVine, waiting to see what happens with all these teams. It's going to be very interesting what happens and how things shape out. I mean, doesn't really matter that much, I guess, for the Knicks in terms of things, because like they kind of pretty much solidified themselves as where they are in the East at this point. I think as like a top 3 team in the East. So whatever happens down there happens.
Do you think? How many times do you think Jordan Clarkson passed the ball tonight?
Like 2 times. Like just to get it right back to reset something, and then that was it.
That was wild, man. Breen was on that like right from the beginning too. That's crazy because Breen is, he's not really.
He gives players like grace or something like that. He's like really like gentle with his criticism.
He must really not like Clarkson, like because he was just like the entire game. He was like, "Oh,
Clarkson just auditioning for the trade deadline."
Man, he should fucking.
They should have traded him like years ago. By the way, they have been holding on to him for like the last couple years. For what reason? I have no idea.
Why the fuck are Clarkson and Sexton still on this team? I have no idea what they're doing on this team.
They don't know what they're doing on this team.
That's what I'm saying, and like it's ridiculous. It's so stupid that both those guys are still on the roster. They have way too many dudes that are just getting like that have to limit have their minutes limited because they have to play these fucking vets that have trade value. Did you see that report the other day where it's like Ainge was worried about trading Kessler to the Lakers because he's like, oh, he might be so good that they don't bottom out in 2027.
What?
It's like, give me a break, dude. Like Kessler has, I guess, had a decent bounce back season. That guy has 0 offensive game, and I don't know, man. Like I don't know what he thinks he is and what he thinks he's worth, but I promise you, I know that Danny Ainge is not asking for anything reasonable. So that roster is a joke. This is the 3rd year of their rebuild. Do they have a single young player that you're like, oh, I think this guy has a chance to be a star? I don't even know. Like maybe Keontae George is going to be that guy, but you know what?
Keontae George, to me, it just seems like a really solid starter. He had his moments in his rookie year, but this year he's just been very bland. And maybe that's because Clarkson and Sexton just keep taking all the guard minutes, literally. So
and then
he can't do anything.
Yeah, and then like the marketing thing, like, I mean, I don't know. That entire team is a fucking joke, and I feel bad.
Man.
Yeah, I feel bad for Will Hardy.
Closer and closer to the dementia. It looks greater and greater that the Celtics let go of him and promoted Brad Stevens.
Shout out to him though. He's probably got the 28th pick in the draft coming his way this year from Cleveland. So we should probably all celebrate that.
He will definitely be popping champagne for that. Knicks win streak now at 9 games. This is the 4th time that Thibs has done this with this Knicks team in this Thibs era. We have never gotten to 10. Every time we get to 10, I feel like some stupid stuff happens. Last time we almost got to 10, I forgot when that was.
That's probably not the last time we probably got 10 wins in a row. I'm positive about this. 2012, 2013.
Oh, it's 13, but like I'm thinking about the last time we almost got to 10. What happened?
It was last year.
We lost last year.
We lost to the Lakers.
Yeah.
That was like the game where I think Tibbs was like, maybe I shouldn't start Precious next to Harden anymore. Maybe I'll start doing
it's always some stupid stuff every time. This time it's gonna be like we're facing a better team. That's why we probably won't get to 10 if we don't get to 10 this time, but it's always something stupid that happens.
The one in 2021 was we lost to Phoenix, who was like really, I mean, they made the finals that year, so that wasn't exactly bad.
But Chris Paul had some stupid magnet ball that game. I remember that game as clear as day. Chris Paul had the stupidest magnet ball in the Garden that night. I was just like, what the hell is going on here?
And that was like our Super Bowl that year. I was like really pumped for that game. And then
every Knicks fan was like pumped for that game. We were like, man, we're like facing like a team that's like top of the West right now. Like, let's see what we can do. And like,
fucking hate that guy. Made that bullshit ass 3 on Christmas too. Fuck you, man.
He always everything.
This is from Alex Dunn. Nice win. Hearts postgame was a nice reminder to all the crybabies and naysayers to have patience. LOL.
We don't have patience.
Yeah, no, we don't. I have had patience this year. Rare plot twist.
Me too. Yeah. I waited like 21 games to start like actually like criticizing the team a little bit more.
Yeah, but you're just like a negative guy, you know.
But see, that proves that I had patience, that I waited 20 to 21 games to start criticizing.
It sure says Josh Hart is who the Sixers fans thought Ben Simmons was, and they just got him for a late first round pick in Cam Reddish. That trade is amazing. I nobody,
still can't
not a single.
believe that. Like, even when it happened, I couldn't believe that people were upset about, like, some people weren't even upset about the first round pick. People were upset that we gave up Cam Reddish. That was like people's like biggest heartbreak in that move.
The funniest thing is, I'm 1,000% sure that's because there are people that like really high on Cam's aura. Josh Hart has more aura too. Come on, what are we doing here? Like, no, that trade.
Josh Hart cashes parlays. That's automatically more aura.
Josh Hart just respects the game. He is just the funniest player. I have no idea what he's ever doing. I don't think he knows what the fuck he's ever doing. It's pretty awesome. But the funniest thing about that trade is, I don't think anybody who even liked it, like, for people who like the trade, there's not a. I want to see one person be like, oh, I think Josh Hart can become this, like what he's doing now. Is his 10th triple double now in his last 68 games or something? Like, he had never had a triple double before that. This is an insane leap he's making, and again fits the trend of like Tom Thibodeau magically getting career best ball out of various players.
Someone made a tweet, and I sent it. Someone made a tweet about like how Tom Thibodeau's offensive, like, whatever, his mojo basically on offense is like overlooked by his defense, because like I guess people were watching that OKC versus Timberwolves game that was very entertaining, and people were noting that, like, you know, and that person that made this tweet noted how like Randall will never have a season as great offensively as he did with the Knicks because of what Tibbs was able to do to optimize him on offense.
Tibbs is I flat out think he's a better offensive coach than a defensive coach. I feel like this whole defensive reputation, and not that he's a bad defensive coach.
Yeah, it's like something from 2011.
It's from the Chicago. It's from, like, you know, because he was the defensive coordinator for the Celtics when they won the championship in 2008.
And that's like followed him for the rest of his career, basically.
You know, the title that Paul Pierce feels puts him above Michael Jordan. But
high on fentanyl.
So he had that, and then he goes to Chicago, and they were like this great defensive team for years. So I think like it became this idea of like he's this defensive mastermind, offense is, you know, whatever. And I just like in Minnesota, their offense was good, their defense was bad. In New York, his defense has been good at times, especially the first year, obviously. That was the strength of our team. But in like, I would say over the last 4 seasons, if you were like, what is your team's strength? I would very much say more offensively than defensively. And now
offensively, and then the glass.
Yeah. And now, like, because we're like the last couple years, we were really good offensively, but it was because we were kind of like gaming the numbers, right? With like all the rebounding and all this shit. And now it's like, well, we don't need to do that because we actually have plenty of guys who can make shots at a high clip. And now you're seeing like, wait, Tibbs runs like a fucking high, like emotion heavy player ball movement offense. And like, you're like, what the fuck is this?
He just needed the personnel that was going to buy in to play it, because he couldn't play this style of basketball with
a couple of our guys, a couple of our formerly
departed for various reasons that have since departed this team. And one was very viral yesterday for a clip that we are all very familiar with here in New York City.
I was watching. I know if anybody doesn't know what he's talking about, there's this clip of Randall where he like basically gets
running into a wall.
Yeah, he gets
like running into a wall.
He gets stripped by Jalen Williams like 3 separate times. Picks it up the first time, tries again. Picks it up the second time, tries again. The third time, he just gets stripped. And I'm just like, watching that. I think that's when I think because I tweeted out last night I was watching that game, and I was just like, the Timberwolves offense is fucking like doo-doo butter. It is fucking awful. And I don't want to turn this into like a shit on Randall thing, because whatever, that's over to me. But yeah, like that. The point being made by the tweet you're talking about, like Randall's never gonna have a better. Like Randall's probably, you're right. He's probably never gonna have a better offensive season than he had under Tibbs. Dante DiVincenzo might never have a better offensive season than he ever had under Tibbs. And it's like you're seeing Cat had his best offensive seasons with Tibbs, basically. Brunson has obviously had his best seasons with Tibbs. Josh Hart having his best season with Tibbs. OG maybe. I mean, I don't know. OG is weird. I can't pretend to know what the hell was going on in Toronto. So all I can say is he's been tremendous since the Knicks got him. Mikal Bridges, low up and down to start. He's trending very, very strong in the right direction. And, Precious, if you look at Precious's numbers, I think he's got the lowest turnover rate of his career so far. and maybe the highest assist rate. I'll have to double check on that. But like, it's too many guys, right? Like, yeah, and you can say, well, the Knicks have had good players. Yeah, sure, they've had good players. He's clearly getting a lot out of those good players.
But like when we got these players, our expectations were very much lower than what they far exceeded our expectations.
Well, even if you look at the guys we've drafted, right? Like we had no right to get the type of production we got from 2 25th overall picks in Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes before he decided to cry and leave. But like, and he's back to playing good again, by the way.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, and look, obviously the front office deserves a ton of credit for scouting and drafting those guys, and those players themselves deserve credit for how they played. But he consistently is getting good production from sources that you maybe wouldn't have thought would deliver what they have. And then, we obviously talked about this a ton when Quickley was here, where it was kind of frustrating that he maybe didn't get as many minutes as we thought he should, and maybe his role should have been bigger or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But what I will say about Tibbs, he rarely doesn't, like, he knows who his good players are and tends to play his good players. If he doesn't think you're good, and then he sends you to, he banishes you from the rotation, there's not a single guy he's really been wrong about. Like, because even Grimes, there was a weird thing going on. He was still playing Grimes though, because he was like, he's good. Like, he's good. I know he's good.
So, he's a spacing threat. He's
I know he's
defensive
good.
guy. Like, he'll guard at the point of attack.
But like Cam Reddish, he was like, he saw that guy fucking first day of practice probably and was like, get this fucking loser.
No.
Yeah, get this fucking loser out of here. Evan Fournier, as soon as he was like, oh, he's got nothing left, he was gone. Derrick Rose, his fucking like beloved son, he saw.
He's like, you're washed, my friend.
Yeah, this is
have
over.
A seat.
Yeah, come sit next to me. Let's
coach this team together.
Yeah, let me and you and Taj. But Taj will still play sometimes because I love him more actually. But like Noel basically. I mean, they all knew. They were like, all right, this guy can't move anymore. even Jericho Sims, who he clearly I think he likes Sims, but he also definitely
doesn't
knows,
like him that much.
Yeah, he likes him because he's just like, he'll do what I tell him, and he won't care when he gets benched. He won't say anything. There's no issue there.
He won't say anything regardless.
Yeah, he's just mute anyway. We have 2 mute centers, him and Precious. But he's just whatever you want to say about him, his talent ID is pretty strong for a coach. And that doesn't mean that every single player he gets is completely maximized to the fullest, but he gets good production out of the players that are actually good. And that sounds kind of like, well, obviously it's not that simple. There are plenty of coaches that don't deliver with their talent the way that Tibbs consistently has.
Nope, not at all.
John Lear, I'm afraid to admit
I was just about to pull up that comment because I was gonna say this was every year there is one discussion that dominates most of a Knicks season, or at least most of the beginning of a Knicks season. This was the topic that dominated most of Knicks Twitter and Knicks fan conversations. Because of course everything was a little bit too good, I guess you can say. And there was nothing really glaring that was obvious to complain about. Because I think before this, it obviously would have been like, oh man, what the hell is our center rotation? And like, who's playing center? And like, is Julius really going to hold up at center? And then once the trade happened, it shifted to, all right, we have this great set of 5 to 6 really good offensive players. Who's the one that's not going to start? And a lot of people, there was a little split. Some people thought Deuce should have started because obviously the spacing there, but some people were like, Hart does a lot more all around in the intangibles and everything else, and he should start. And Josh Hart proving everyone who thought that Deuce should have started wrong. He's turned into like a 40% 3-point shooter. He's a triple-double threat on a night-to-night basis. So, and yeah, he's locked in on defense most of the time as well. There's those occasions where he's not, and he's a little space cadet-y.
Hart is not serious about defense until like the first quarter is over.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, the game started, right?"
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people wanted McBride to start, and
I was of the opinion I didn't care when he started Josh Hart. I was kind of like, whatever. That
you expected it.
Well, it's not. I expected it. I'm also like, it's not like illogical. Like, it's not like he's playing. It's not like he was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to start campaign. You're like, that's fucking insane. Like,
Yeah.
starting Josh Hart is not crazy. It made sense, and there was arguments in that favor. And I do think that they're like, the rebounding thing to me is significant. Like, it does matter that Mikal Bridges basically does not rebound at a high clip. Brunson, we know he's just small and he's not like a high flyer, so there's limitations to what he can do on the glass. And OG's like fine, but he's not some high volume rebounder either. Cat obviously has done a ton, but even if you just had Cat and you put McBride in instead of Hart, I think there are issues on the glass that you would see over a longer period of minutes. But either way, the point being is like, I never thought the idea was stupid. I did think, hey, it might turn out that McBride is actually the better option there. I was open to that. I would have been fine if he went with that, instead of starting Hart too. I think there are arguments for either one, because especially early in the season when McCall's point of attack defense was terrible, like you could make the argument like, yeah, maybe you need Deuce then, because Deuce is your best point of attack defender right now. As Mikal Bridges' defense has picked up, I think, one, obviously we see the defense overall has improved, but two, it makes everybody better, and it makes the lineup better, and it balances everything out. And then Josh Hart is also just shooting the fucking rock at a high clip, and he's scoring super efficiently everywhere. Like, he's a 40, he's like a fucking 40, 50, 85 guy or something right now. So he's playing at a high level.
Career
and,
year.
And I don't think anybody should feel like, I don't think anybody who was of the opinion that McBride would
should feel like they were wrong for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's like, whatever. After about 10 games this season, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't even care about this argument. Like, it's not worthwhile. They're like, we just need to worry about Mikal Bridges getting his shit together, and we should be good to go. And lo and behold, Mikal Bridges got his shit together, and now we're good to go. So that's great.
Yep. Let's see what other comments we have here. A nice little triple-double leaders here. Josh Hart passed one Julius Randle last game and continues to climb up the triple-double rankings.
They're basically getting, like, I don't even know how to say this, like, because I want to frame this appropriately. He's not Julius as a scorer, obviously, but you're getting
Julius level production in the other areas from him.
You're getting the rebounding. His playmaking is
which is something that a lot of people are wondering, where are we going to make up for some of these other parts of people's games that were very prominent in our offense and in our style of play, and we're seeing it now.
Well, because we're moving the ball more and guys are moving off ball and all that shit more, his playmaking is also more suited to this team than Julius's is, because Julius is, sure, yeah, he can draw two to the ball and he can create like threes and all that stuff, and that's a legitimate skill that he has, but it requires like everything to kind of come to a halt and for him to size up the situation and do his whole thing. Josh Hart just gets so much of his shit with it, like I talked about Mikal Bridges. He just gets so much of his playmaking and everything he does within the flow of the offense. It's not like he has to bring possessions to a halt and size up the situation constantly. So, you're getting, like, I don't even know how you want to put it, but like, you're basically getting Randle offensive impact at this point from Josh Hart, even though he's obviously not the scorer and he's not the kind of initiator.
He doesn't have the gravity, you would say.
Yeah,
that Randle possesses.
Right. So I don't know. It's pretty wild what he's doing. Yeah.
D'Lo's return to Sean Marks's bosom seems to have gone well. They're made for each other. Those two are made for each other.
Yeah, it's D'Lo is like, so next stop he will be traded to Golden State.
Yes, and then to the Timberwolves once again,
and then back to the Lakers.
He must complete the cycle.
This is from Ace Bouchard. I've wanted the Knicks to try and add another offensive playmaker for the bench. That's probably wasted their tradable contracts for that when they have Kolek and waiting. Yeah, I mean, look, it's one game against the Jazz, so I don't want to go too overboard with it. But one, do we have a point guard dilemma now? Are we
Too many
sure that?
cooks.
Yeah. Are we sure that Brunson can hold on to the job here? No. But like this is why I think they were obviously they liked Kolek, but they hedged their bet by signing Campaign because and we knew through reporting all through last year and this offseason that they like Deuce McBride a lot, but they don't really view him as a point guard. And guess what? They're right. He's not really a point guard. But like Payne is a good enough veteran minimum solid dude as a backup point that you didn't need to like rush Kolek and have him be a part of the rotation from day one. But I expect him to be part of the rotation next season, in all honesty, and that's fine. Like, the way the Knicks are playing, I think if they want to get another playmaker, which I do think they need, it needs to be like you have such limited assets, you really have to be careful with how you're spending them. So
very frugal.
Yeah, it's all contingent on who is available, what they can get them for, and all that kind of stuff. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I tend to think that like they're more likely to try and get another wing than an offensive playmaker. Maybe a backup big if they are still concerned a little bit about Precious's size. I wouldn't be because he's basically just getting backup 5 minutes, and that's perfectly fine with me. And he's been good in those minutes. And we also know that you can play him next to OG in the front court, and they're pretty good together. So not too concerned about that. OG was defending like everybody today at some point. He defended Walker Kessler on a few possessions.
Yeah, and it's Walker Kessler, so like he was probably chilling when he was guarding Walker Kessler.
It's like, yeah, oh god, this loser.
They're not feeding this guy. Yeah. Nice. Jordan Bob asked if we see Brunson and Deuce playing on Friday night. Most likely. I was just about to bring up that comment too.
Brunson for sure. Deuce, I don't know. They've been pretty
cautious with Deuce this
year.
They've
been cautious with hamstrings too, right? Precious, obviously they gave him a lot of time.
And Precious had the hamstring thing too, right?
Yes. Yeah, Precious had a hamstring. So yeah. This is from my namesake. From Ashwin. Marketing should change careers and become an underwear model after what OG did to him.
Why underwear model?
Maybe he's saying marketing has aura.
All right.
Trying to get him in those Hims ads.
Omar Yusuf says, let's hold off the campaign extension talks and creating the Ish Smith Award for most valuable vetman signing. This is why you draft Kolek.
Yeah. I mean, Kolek has been pretty solid. Can't complain about what he's provided when he's gotten opportunities. Mm-hmm. He looks like he's developing well in the G League. I mean, every time I see his numbers down there, it's like,
he had like what 36 and 11 today.
Yeah, he was dominant. That's basically what you hope to see from guys
that are supposed to be NBA players.
Yeah. So that's a really good
Jacob sign. Toppin, anyone? He had 33 points on 60% shooting.
I'm like not. I like unironically am not. He at least profiles a lot like the wings they have in terms of like his size. If you watch him, he's like his brother, right? He's just constantly moving on the floor. So it wouldn't. I mean, maybe that's a guy you bring in. You consider like bringing into the rotation or at least creating a roster spot for next season. And if he gets an opportunity, see if he can make it. But yeah, no. I mean, he's exactly right. This is why you draft Kolek, and this is also why you signed Campaign for the vet min, so that you don't have to speed. Like you can take your time with Kolek and let him kind of get his feet wet in the G League, get reps, and yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But this is not like a pressing issue for them at the moment, I don't think.
Nora says Jordan Clarkson being the sixth man for Utah for the last few seasons is him doing a humiliation ritual.
That's a joke. That team is a joke. Danny Ainge, year 3 of the rebuild, baby. Let's go.
Oh man, their one promising player is like Keontae George, and like Taylor Hendricks was showing a little bit of something, and then he just like broke his leg tragically this year.
Yeah,
so there's that. Bryce Sensabaugh, he cashed me some parlays at the end of last year, but I don't know if he's really truly in like a player that you're like investing your time into long term. But yeah, they're something. They're an NBA basketball team. I'll say that.
They are certainly an NBA basketball team, and they have all these, late 20s picks to look forward to. Awesome stuff. Ace Bouchard. Bulls are in year 10 of their post-Tibbs rebuild. You got to be patient and trust the process.
Dog. The Bulls are like perpetually in mediocreness. Like they are just mid forever. Like that is their destiny. They sold their souls, their basketball souls, for the Michael Jordan era, and this is like what they have to pay for it now. This is their penance.
Yep. One day I hope that the Knicks can win 6 championships in 8 years, and then I would just be like, they could suck for the next 20, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
it's cool. I was alive for that. I saw it. It happened. It's like how I am with the Yankees. John Lear, you guys have any takes?
I was just about that one too. I was about to say I don't really have any takes. I got DirecTV Stream, so I'm pretty good over here.
I do not have DirecTV Stream. I have Optimum, but
so
there are
impacted by this, so you must have a take.
Yeah, well, my take is thankfully the internet exists, and there are ways to watch games in spite of Optimum's dastardly effort. Yeah. This is the Jordan Bub post. This is a quote from Tyler Kolek. It's more mental than anything. 2 guys go out with injury. You got to step in and be ready to go no matter the circumstances. I'll tell you what. If you want to fucking earn brownie points with Tibbs, playing a fucking game in the morning and then playing again at night because your team's shorthanded, it's one way to do it. It's one way to do it.
Shit.
Yeah.
Giannis LB80 says another masterclass by Danny Ainge of using big offers for Markkanen only for him to rot on a losing team and lose value.
There's no point to him on this team. And he had so much value last offseason.
Yo, the funniest thing about this whole thing with Utah and Golden State, Utah wanted Podziemski, whatever his name is, Pods. I refuse to call him that, by the way. Only cool actual NBA players deserve nicknames, not Brandon Podziemski.
Yeah, like Big Purr.
Yeah. But it's so funny. The Warriors were like holding on to him for dear life because they just wanted to hold on to him in this deal. And
here's my thing, though. I feel like
it would have been so funny for Utah to end up with him and be like, "What the fuck is this?" After getting him, for Lowry.
I still kind of feel like this is one of those stupid Ainge things, though, where it gets reported as like, oh, like they just wouldn't include Podziemski, and I still will always just feel it was like, we'll give you Podziemski, but we're not going to give you everything. We're not going to give you all our picks and our swaps and Kuminga and Moody and Podziemski. Like that's what happened with Grimes, right? Where it got reported like Grimes was untouchable in the deal. And that was never.
But it was like it was Grimes was untouchable because he wanted RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly and like a bunch of picks and swaps, and it was just like, okay, like, are you trying to like rob us naked? Like, what the hell's going on here, man?
The funniest part about the reporting of that trade was like, it was like, oh well, he doesn't want Fournier's salary, so you got to give him another pick for that. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? No, like Fournier, like this team's gonna suck ass for the next few years. Evan Fournier is more than capable of playing plenty of minutes on a terrible team. You'll be fine. Like, there's no problem here. He
wasn't going to help you win, Danny. Yeah. He wasn't going to help you win. I promise.
There's a salary floor. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Danny Ainge is doing a great job. Bang up work over there, Danny. Hopefully they do not get Cooper Flag.
Although that would make that fan base very, very happy.
John Leary. Tibbs best coach since D'Antoni? He's the best coach since Van Gundy.
Yeah.
It's not even close. I don't even know. I guess Woodson would be the other guy you could reasonably make an argument for, but Tibbs he's got what? He's three playoff appearances in 4 years prior.
This big Woodson.
Yeah. Three playoff appearances in 4 years. He's won.
It's going to be 4 and 5.
Yeah, it's going to be 4 and 5. He's won 2 playoff series, which already puts him above every coach post Van Gundy. They had won 1 playoff series in the previous, like, whatever it was, 20 something fucking years, since leaving Van Gundy. So yeah, he's easily the best coach they've had since then.
And in retrospect, Ace Bouchard says that Thibs making the Mitch and then even more so just Nerlens and Taj look like a viable playoff center rotation was crazy.
Yeah. Well, the back half of that year, we just had Taj and Nerlens.
Yeah. But then in the playoffs, it like really came back to bite us in the ass, and it was like, no, this can't work.
Who was that random NPC that played for us that season?
Norvell Pell.
Yeah, Norvell Pell. Yeah. Shout out to him.
The We Here year. Wow. What a year.
Jordan Bubb posted this. Tom Thibodeau on the win tonight over Utah without Jalen Brunson and Miles McBride. As a team, if you prioritize winning and doing what's best for the group, that's what makes it enjoyable. You have everyone committed to each other. When you do that, good things come from that.
Sounds like.
Yeah. Josh Hart also, I want to point this out. More triple doubles than Carmelo Anthony.
He's been past Carmelo.
I know. I just thought it's worth mentioning that. Josh Hart tonight becomes first Knick since Michael Ray Richardson in 1981 to have back-to-back triple doubles. It's pretty crazy.
Wow. Tells you a lot about Knicks history right there.
This is Jordan Bubb posted this from Campaign. Campaign was asked what he's seen from Mikal Bridges for the last one. The little dude? He's playing all right.
Little dude.
He's playing all right. He's knocking shots down. I feel like everybody winning, so everybody looks good. We're winning games, so everybody looks good.
Talking about him like he's a dwarf or something. The little dude. Oh man. They have that Phoenix connection, you know, him, Landry, Mikal.
Yeah, what did you? I thought Shamet was good in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do anything that like necessarily stood out, but like that's a good thing because like he didn't do anything that stood out in a bad way or a good way necessarily. He just like filled in and played his role, and I feel like he should start getting a little bit more minutes, especially like
maybe in the second half sometime.
Yeah, like these 40-minute games are gonna catch up to dudes, and I mean like. Tonight he could have. I feel like Shamet could have played against the Jazz. Like the Jazz weren't gonna do anything. Like
I think he might have played Shamet more in the second half if they didn't make that
was bigger.
Yeah, they made that like fucking fake ass run where they cut it to 4, and I think Tibbs did his like, oh fuck, like gotta fucking win this game. He's freaking out. You can just see the gears in his head. Like in every Josh Hart fucking turnover, I know Tibbs is over there on the bench just because I'm doing the same thing at home. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Get your head out of your ass, Josh. And then he like has a triple double. So then I'm like, all right, that's fine. Guess you have to roll with it.
Yeah.
This is a good point. This from Giannis LB80. The secondary playmaker we needs to be able to play alongside Jalen at value. Otherwise, we would trade for someone that would play 8 minutes in the playoffs. I agree. That's definitely a good point.
That's what made IQ so valuable when he was here. He was able to play alongside of Jalen, and that's why so many people wanted him to like end games with Jalen. But you know,
that's why he did end a lot of games with Jalen.
He did. But there were a lot of times that he didn't, and we wanted him to. And there were other reasons.
Well, the end of the 2022-23 season was funny because it was always RJ on the bench. It's like always on the bench at the end of games. It was always up. It was like Brunson, Quickly, Hart, Randall, pick a center. That was our team.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch back, like I think was it that I was watching like the montage of all the close endings games of you seen the 3-hour Knicks compilation that they have.
So
I was looking through those, and like you see like a lot of games from like that year, like especially like that Miami game. Like you just look at who's on the court at the end of the game. It's like Randall, Quickly, Mitch, Hart, Brunson on the court.
That team, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I was talking about this with Stacy in the last pod we did, but I watched that I watched that game randomly recently. I watched that game we played against Cleveland at the end of the 2022-23 season where Brunson had 48. And like Randall didn't play that game, but you look back at that team and it's crazy how deep we were. I mean,
very deep. It's a reason why we all had this thought that if they were completely healthy, we had a legitimate shot at like getting to the conference finals and like making noise multiple years. Like that year we should have probably beat Miami if like Randall is probably like a little bit more healthier probably that year. Maybe. Randall
didn't decide to play like a dumbass for that series.
That too. If everyone else didn't decide to play like a dumbass, basically.
Brunson was basically the only guy that could make shots in that series. That was tough.
But like,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, that team it was deep, and that's the reason why we thought like even last year and the year before that we thought we could make the conference finals and make some noise versus whoever we faced there.
Yeah.
Which would be Boston both years.
Yeah. Well, Boston did lose to Miami that year, so who knows?
Exactly. That's why a lot of us thought there was a chance.
Yeah. Giannis LB80 says, so a wing that can do secondary playmaking would be great. Tyreek Evans, please come back to the league. I am so pissed that Tyreek Evans was never a Knick because I loved Tyreek Evans.
When he had that resurgence after that year in Memphis,
yeah,
it was awesome. Dude, all right, Tyreek Evans is back. What the hell happened to him though?
There were rumors, like legitimate rumors, that Boston would maybe trade Marcus Smart for him. Unfortunately, Boston ended up trading Marcus Smart for 2 first-round picks somehow.
Oh yeah, Tyreek was banned from the league, right?
Yeah, I think he had a little too much fun skiing. Yeah, we've all been there. It's New Year's, what a night. Jordan Bobs again. Josh Hart was asked about his dunk tonight versus the Jazz. I heard Will Hardy was telling them to pressure me. I'm not much of a handles guy, but I can straight line drive the hell out of somebody.
Definitely.
Who was it that was pressuring him? Was that Sensible or something? That was wild.
It was one of the random wings that they have on that team. Speaking of handles, I would love to see Josh Hart pull out something that like Luke Kennard did randomly last night. He like had one of the Suns rookies on like an ISO, and like Luke Kennard pulled out like the most random like handles mixtape shit and like went up for like a layup. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
That Memphis game yesterday, that Memphis Suns game was like, that was such an example. I think I thought just watching it, I was like, one of these teams has like an actual culture and the other team is just fucking like these stars, Beal, who can never stay healthy, and a bunch of minimum dudes. And it's like, you like go through like Suns fans tweeting like, just fucking have Ryan Dunn or Josh Okogie on the floor at all times because they're trying. I'm like, yeah, this is
pathetic.
Yeah, that's bad, yo. When you're just like, yeah, dude, we need to have Josh Okogie on the floor because he just tries. It's like, all right, the bar is in hell. The bar is in hell.
Legitimately.
Yeah. Larry Israel, that Josh Hart as Julius is just such a good point. He's also bringing a sizable portion of the physicality. I mean, he's
always been a physical guy. Remember, Schwinn, we're a finesse team this year.
Yes.
We're a finesse team.
Stefan Bondi, who was trumpeting that take after we lost to the Hawks in the NBA Cup. Soft team. Didn't look soft to me tonight. Or against Orlando at any point this season.
Yeah. Orlando's been like the team that plays us to like the most physically tough, and we've handled them.
Orlando just shows up with like metal bats. They're just trying to
and chains.
Yeah. Fucking saws. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm not the first person to make this pun, but like he is the heart and soul of the team. Like he is there. Yeah, he brings like a physicality that I think, I don't think any of these guys are soft. Like I don't think Cat's soft. I don't think Mikal Bridges is soft. At least he's soft in a very, like, he's not a physical player. It's hard for me to call someone who's never missed a game totally soft though. And then OG's not soft. He's just OG. By the way, did you enjoy Cat acting like he had gotten concussed on that one drive?
Bruh, it was the funniest thing ever. Like he like crawled under a chair, and like the poor guy that was like sitting in front of him, like just like sat there for a minute. He didn't even know what to do, and like he started to get up, and then Cat got up, and he was just like, "All right, man, I'll stay here." That was like the weirdest and funniest thing that happened tonight.
That was like a peak New York Dominican moment for Carl Anthony.
He acted like he got shot in the head.
Yeah. Dude, he was so dramatic about it. I was like, this is, and when it was happening, like you could Breen and Han on the telecast were like, oh, like, and I'm like, dude, he's fine. He's gonna get up here and he's being fucking fine. There's no way anything happened in that play. Be real.
Like even Johnny Juzang's face after, he was like looking at him, was like, what the hell?
I kind of like Johnny Juzang. I don't know. I don't watch him as much. He was all right.
I liked him at UCLA when he was coming into the draft. I didn't know if he was really going to stick on a team because like he only really did things like in not a limited way, but like it was seen as like he only shoots like threes and stuff like that, and then he gets like mid-range isolation points.
40% from three on the season.
He's been pretty good for them.
He shot 41.6 last year. He's only played 47 games for them over the last 2 years, but
he's definitely getting much more prominent role this year than he did last year.
Maybe throw a second round pick out for him. I don't know. I'm just saying. Let's see what else do we got here. Larry Israel says, "Coach chatting up Brunson on the bench. The kid knows how to play the game." Yeah, I thought, but Brunson talks him up too. So I don't know. I think it would not surprise me if they're much higher on him internally than any fans maybe are, and definitely other teams around the league. I mean, they traded up for him, right? They traded 4 second-round picks to move up for him?
I think so.
Yeah, so. And he was a guy they were connected to, basically throughout the draft process.
Yeah, you heard his name constantly. The Big East Knicks.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. I was looking at that one too. Josh Hart was asked about the Knicks' upcoming game versus the Thunder. This will be a good test. The big man Isaiah Hartenstein got paid this summer, so he should be a little slow on his feet and slow trying to protect the rim. We should be able to go at him. Love it. I want to see them attack him in pick and rolls all night, man.
Well, I mean, look, Hartenstein's obviously, he was really good for the Knicks. He's been really good for OKC, but the one thing we know, we did see this last year in the playoffs and throughout the season is stretch fives, fives.
Cat should have 40.
Yeah. Bigs that can legitimately score the ball were a really big problem for him last year. Maybe I think some of that is potentially related to just
I mean, even the last game against the Timberwolves, Naz Reid probably had one of his better games of the season. They had 19 points off the bench for them. So
he was so good that Chris Finch finally benched Randall last year for the game.
I wonder how that's going over well.
I'm sure he's handling it fine. I can't imagine that being a big deal, right?
Nah, we've never seen anything like that happen in New York.
One of the under-acknowledged aspects of Heat culture is that all their random NPC players that show up for them tend to have spent plenty of time developing in their G League system. Being set up so Knicks can actually afford sending a bunch of guys down to their G League team for a year or two before they really spend time in the NBA is huge for the Knicks. I agree. I mean, this is kind of it's what the G League is supposed to be for, and it's, when the Knicks were not good, you were like, why the fuck is this young guy playing the G League? Just put him in the NBA. He can't be worse than Emmanuel Mudiay, and you're like, that's actually a good point. But yeah, you don't have that pressure now, and I think that's important. And hopefully they're targeting guys in the draft that understand that and are comfortable with that. It seems like they are. You haven't heard any issues, and I don't know why any of them would have issues with how the Knicks are using them, considering, like they say, you can't really complain when the team's winning, unless you're Julius Randle. But yeah.
I saw that one too.
John Leary says Schwinn will protest the day they retire Mel's number. Yeah, I will. He should not have his fucking number retired. For what? We won one playoff series in 6.5 fucking seasons of this guy in the Knicks.
The vibes.
Did he? Who is the best player he recruited? Fucking J.R. Smith from China?
Shout out J.R. Smith. He brought some aura and some vibes to the Garden.
I love J.R. Smith. He's before last season. He used the last Knicks jersey I bought before I got a Brunson jersey was J.R. Smith. So I love J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith's always good for me.
Yeah,
but
J.R. Smith jersey.
Yeah. Oh, I had a Melo jersey, but I did not purchase.
Oh. My
girlfriend at the time bought it for me, and I was like, "Do you know? Do you know? Are you sure?" But yeah, no, he shouldn't have his number retired. We did nothing. We did nothing as a team, and he was a huge part of that. And he never wanted to play his natural position. Fuck that. There's no need to celebrate the fucking Melo era, the worst fucking wannabe era of trying to be competitive ever. Give me a fucking break, man.
Jordan Bub says Karl-Anthony Towns talks about Tom Thibodeau. He's a different man. I like this version going into 2025. You see him smile. I've grown since the time we were together in Minnesota. He's grown. Okay. This game of life, we're just finding ourselves getting better with time. So philosophical, Carl. So philosophical. I love it.
Bro, he's so corny. It's so funny. What was that fucking the one after the Raptors game where he's like, we them boys. I was like, all right, man. All right, man.
I like this philosophical angle that Kat is taking on his relationship with Tibbs.
You know, Tibbs is probably like gonna fucking be like, "You're a fucking loser" tomorrow in practice. Fuck was that, Carl?
What the hell was that? I've grown.
We did get a patented how from Towns today in the first half.
We did.
It was really good. It was actually on a shot he made too. That was the funniest part. How? Like, all right, man. Just...
John Leary says that
sorry.
He says Melo recruited Chris Copeland and Kurt Thomas and Marcus Camby and Rasheed Wallace.
He didn't even recruit those guys. Like the Knicks just wanted them.
They wanted old niggas.
Yeah, they traded for Camby. They signed all those other. There's no way like Chris Copeland. There's no way Melo had ever fucking heard of this guy. I had never heard of that guy, and I'm definitely more into like random minutia of players than Carmelo.
NBA industry plants.
Yeah. NPC players. That's a specialization of mine. Like Rasheed Wallace was 700 years old, and that was clearly like Mike Woodson. I think was the one that had like some relationship with him in the past.
Yeah, they were on the Pistons championship team together.
Yeah, and then Kurt Thomas is just like Knicks lifer. Shout out Kurt Thomas ending his career to save our season in Utah that season.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, he literally never played again. That was amazing. He's like, all right, I saved the season. I'm out, guys. Oh, sorry. Karl Anthony Towns and what he's learned about the Knicks so far. We're gritty. I think we do a great job of finding ways to win, even when we're not at our best. And
that was the identity of this team last year, too, in just a much different way.
This game of life.
I love that. That is such a good quote. That is such a great quote.
Should retire Josh Hart's number before Melo. Yes. Yeah, and like this is the thing. Josh Hart has the same number as John Starks. I do not want to fucking hear about Carmelo Anthony getting his number retired when John Starks is not getting his number retired. And I'm fine with John Starks not getting his number retired because he wasn't a Hall of
that
Fame
finals
player.
Performance.
Well, they wouldn't even been in that game. They wouldn't have been in Game 7 without him. But whatever. The point is, like, you can't just be individually great. You have to be, yes, individually great is fine. You also have to contribute to team success at a serious level. And we were never serious. We had one good year, and then it fucking bottomed out after that. And you want to say it's not on Melo?
All the old guys.
Yeah. It's not on Melo. It was, the trade was stupid and blah, blah, blah. Guess who forced them to make the trade because he needed to lock in his fucking max extension before the season was over? Fucking Carmelo. Give me a break, man. Fuck. Like, you want to, like, you do not become, things don't just happen by accident. Like, the reason why the Knicks are in a position they're in, yeah, it's good management and all these things. Look at the shit, like, you're getting from players now, right? Like, Jalen Brunson worked with the front office. Yeah, he worked in the front office to create a situation where they had more flexibility. They did that even with Randall. Like, whatever you want to say about Randall taking that extension when he did. I mean, look, obviously he has a terrible season in 21-22, so maybe you can say, he actually locked in money there. But
it was foresight.
At the time, but at the time when he signed that extension, it was like, man, if he had one more good year, like, this is a guy who'd be looking at even maybe like double this type of money. So, you get that. Josh Hart opted into his contract, if you remember, after he had pushed back the kind of opt-in date. That gave them the flexibility to sign Dante, right? Like, so you get all these little concessions from these players because they want to be here. And also, you know what? When you're competent, it makes people want to be actually willing to work with your front office. And it's a much more fun environment to play in, like this is clearly a fun team to play for.
Yeah, definitely is.
Cat is probably a lot less toxic than Randall in the locker room. LOL, even though he's corny. Yeah, for sure. Cat being corny is like actually the endearing part about him.
Yeah.
Like all of his different voices and, mannerisms.
All right.
Melo tried to ignore those old heads until they rubbed him up.
Saying they jumped him in the locker room?
Hey, Sharp, they should retire Shumpert's jersey so no other player can be associated with this stank.
Well, we wouldn't have gotten him Damian Dotson, having that number. So,
yeah. John Larry, Melo and Star were not a good basketball fit. I was never excited. I'm never as excited when they first made the trade. Even Stat said in a pod, the ball stopped moving. It was a terrible fit because Stat couldn't play defense. Melo didn't play defense. So then you had to go get Chandler, which was fine, even though Chandler is a fucking loser. But like, yeah, it's just everything about that era was a masterclass in like, how do you, where we like look at Leon's moves and we're like, wow, he really like gets the most out of all these different pieces and players that he gets. That was a good team that was assembled in the most suboptimal way, consistently at every stage. So giving up picks to get Felton, giving him a 4-year deal for some reason, giving Steve Novak a 4-year deal for no fucking reason, like trading picks for Camby, like all these type of things. They just ran out of assets and stupid shit. It was a dumb era.
Front office on drugs.
Okay, I'm with this. Ashmaster. Sixers are 8-2 in their last 10. You guys think they still make the playoffs? Yeah.
Yes, because the East bottom half is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Look at the East bottom half. It's just like an absolute joke.
Yeah, it's terrible. Pistons,
Milwaukee and Miami have the same record somehow. Like, how did that happen? And then Atlanta, 18-15. The Pacers, I mean, they have a way to go, but like, do we really think like Chicago will still be in like the play-in race? No.
Yeah. Pranav. It would be kind of wild if they retired Melo's jersey before Brown King. Thank you. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's wild that they gave Randall. I mean, of course, that was his number already, but like, it's wild that they gave him, 30.
Well, big 30, man.
Imagine if he had a different number. That would be so jarring for us. Like if he had like 45 or something.
Big 45.
Oh man. All right. I think we'll end things off here.
Precious hit a 3 again, by the way, that left corner, baby.
Yeah. What is he shooting on the season?
That's his office.
Where's he shooting on the season now?
I mean, it's probably shooting like 50% on 10 attempts or something. Coming into today, he had been shooting. Let's see here. 1 second.
He's shooting on ESPN right now. It says he's shooting 36% from 3.
What are your thoughts on Precious's like floater and mid-range game? Are you a big fan?
Don't want to see those. I want him on the Morey shot diet, man. Threes and layups and dunks. That's it, man.
So coming into tonight, he was 4 of 11 from 3. Did he only take the 1 3 tonight?
I think so. Yeah, he was 1 for 1, 100%.
So he's 5 for 12 now, which, by my math, 41.7%.
Oh, from 3. He jumped up. Okay.
Sniper. We got a sniper here.
Hey, if you get 1 a game, I'll take it.
Mikal Bridges up to 59.5 true shooting after tonight, too.
Nice.
His career high was 66.7 in Phoenix. That was the year they made the finals. He's had 3 other 60 true shooting plus seasons. 62 his second year in the league, 62.7 in 21-22. And actually, no, he never finished a full season of a 60. So he's only done that twice previously in his career. I think we're going to get a third.
All right. All right. I think we'll end things off here. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Yes, John Larry says, I remember the day after Randall's shoulder injury, a fan posted a pic on Reddit of him at church in a Randall jersey with the caption, praying for King Randall.
Was it John Leguizamo? Remember he did that fucking Porzingis one?
Oh my God. This fan base, man. You don't know what you're going to get. But yeah, make sure you guys check out all the links in the description. We got links to the site, merch, Patreon, Twitter, and Instagram. We also on Blue Sky, follow us there as well. We just dropped a piece on the site giving some thanks to all the supporters here for supporting us throughout all of 2024 and of course going forward. But yeah, Schwinn, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
No, that was a fun win. It's a fun win. They get a real stiff test on Friday. Hopefully, like I said, I don't think they're going to win that game, but They could. Obviously, they're good enough to do it. So it'll be a good test. It'll be a good test, and hopefully, Cat dunks on Hartenstein.
Yep.
Enjoyed his poster on Kessler today. That was great.
Kessler and Markkanen.
Yeah.
Double Cracker Barrel. All right. Everyone, enjoy your Thursday tomorrow. I go back to work, so I don't know if I will be. Peace.